that a plaintiff will have to ask repeatedly for discovery.
The gentleman's time has expired. And
Virginia.
Will,
yes.
If the gentleman will hold. Under Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2013, the Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from North Carolina, Ms. Fox, for 30 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my colleague from California for his concern. Mr. Speaker, the decisions we make in this body matter to the people in this country. They matter to families. When Washington chose to radically alter health care, something that impacts every American and comprises 1/6 of the United States economy, the effects extend well beyond committee hearing rooms, courtrooms, and government office suites. The effects are felt in doctors' offices. They are felt in homes across the 5th District I represent. They are felt by moms and dads who are finding out the health care they had counted on keeping, insurance they had budgeted for and know they can afford, won't be around next year. Earlier this month, it was estimated that 160,000 North Carolinians received that unwelcome news. My constituent, Dawn, from Wilkes County, is one of them. She wrote to me to tell me exactly how Washington's interference with her health care is affecting her. Let me let Dawn speak for herself. Dear Representative Fox, never in my life have I been without health insurance. I'm writing to share with you the impact of the Affordable Care Act on my health care options. I work part-time and purchase my own health insurance. In order to have an affordable monthly premium and to have the possibility of budgeting for dental and vision care as well as general medical care, I've had a high-deductible health savings account, HSA, for several years. The Affordable Care Act has eliminated my current HSA with Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. I currently have an annual deductible of $5,000 and a monthly premium of $160.30. The ACA-compliant replacement policy, which I have been offered by Blue Cross Blue Shield, will have a $5,500 annual deductible and will cost $478.60 per month. Even with a 10% higher deductible, this new plan will cost $318.30 per month more than what I can now afford. That is a 198% increase, almost 3 times what I now pay, for a plan with a higher deductible. Please help me understand how this is affordable care. My husband and I do not have cable or satellite television, high-speed internet, smartphones, or other optional services which we can cancel in order to pay the astounding increase in my health insurance premium. We do qualify for a partial subsidy to help cover the premium, but that does not change the $5,743.20 annual price for this meager health insurance policy. It merely shifts part of the expense to our children and some other taxpayers. I have spoken with representatives in the Healthcare Exchange and healthcare.gov and with independent insurance brokers, but they offer little hope. Do I have any option in order to continue to live within my means and afford to pay for my own health care? I am truly bewildered. Sincerely, Dawn. Mr. Speaker, reading Dawn's letter breaks my heart. This is a woman who plans ahead. She budgets carefully. She takes pride in her work and responsibility for herself and for her family. Obamacare is changing things drastically for her and millions of other Americans like her. With about a month to go before the Affordable Care Act renders her current health insurance illegal, Dawn is left with questions, the last of which I'll repeat again. Is it possible to live within my means and afford to pay for my own health care? Americans took the President at his word when he said they'd be able to keep the care and doctors they liked. They trusted that a law called the Affordable Care Act would actually make health care more affordable. They believed that the President wouldn't raise taxes on the middle class through this law. Mr. Speaker, the President's broken promises are hurting families like Dawn's. But the higher premiums and the canceled plans are central to Obamacare. The law will work only if many Americans are compelled to leave their current plans and pay more for government-approved insurance. Now, as the country is becoming better acquainted with this very sad reality, Democrats and Republicans in Washington must recognize that repeal is still the only way to solve all of Obamacare's problems. The answer to America's health care challenges is not going to be found in 100% partisan solutions like the Affordable Care Act. We should work together to enact honest, patient-centered reforms that empower families like Dawn's with choices and custom care options so that she can continue to pay for health care and still live within her means. Mr. Speaker, thank you. I yield back. Mr. Speaker, I believe the gentleman from California would like to be recognized.
I
yield to the gentleman.
I yield to the gentleman from California.
Thank you very much. I have a few more minutes to finish my remarks, and if the lady would yield me that time, I'd be very appreciative.
I am happy, Mr. Speaker, to yield to the gentleman from California for 2 minutes.
Recognized for 2 minutes.
All right. Okay, so, and I would hope this could be attached to the latter part of the speech that I began a few minutes ago. Section 6 of H.R. 3309 calls for a limit on discovery when we're talking about patent suits. Just so you'll know, again, one of the results of these innocuous things are hard to understand. What it means is that if you limit the discovery that someone says, I invented this, and I'm trying to have discovery with a huge corporation to find out how they infringed on my patent, if you limit that discovery, that little guy has to have more motions. It costs a lot more money, and thus the little guys can't afford to bring a suit against the big guys. So basically, what we've got is a list of things in this bill that make it extremely more difficult for the little guy to afford to support and defend his own patents. And on top of that, then we have this attack on patent trolls who are there to try to assist anybody who can't afford to enforce his or her own patent. This is a boon to the huge corporations, the multinational corporations, and perhaps foreign corporations who will also get involved in this. Small business outreach section, there's a, let us note that the Section 7, the Small Business Education Outreach Information Access, says that the Director of the Patent Office will create a database on patent trolls, thus create a strategy to teach businesses how to defend themselves against patent trolls. You know what we've got here? We've got the creation of an enemies list. That's what we have here, justification for people to be put on an enemies list if they are out trying to help small inventors enforce their patents. And finally, let me just note here, Section 9, improvement in technical corrections to the Leahy-Smith America Invents Act, which on section, it states it eliminates Section 45, Title 35. Again, this is one of the most important things they're trying to slip through this process. This would, again, and I'm repeating this because it's so important, eliminates the independent judicial review of patent applications, which has been part and law of the land since 1836, a huge emasculation, a cut in the rights of patent people who are seeking patents, inventors, the creative people in our country. This would eliminate their right, if the patent office is not treating them fairly or has made a mistake, for a judicial review that has been a right of the Americans since 1836. This is horrendous. This bill being considered next week by the House Judiciary Committee is not reform. It is an anti-patent bill consistent with decades-long anti-patent attacks by multinational corporations who want to emasculate America's patent system, and these multinational corporations may or may not be headed by Americans, but they are not watching out for the interest of our country, and especially they aren't watching out for the innovators and inventors of our country. I ask the American people, the patriots, to call their members of Congress and oppose H.R. 3309, the Innovation Act. And I would add one last element, as my colleague was just talking about the Obamacare issue that we are now discussing here. One of the things that I have found most objectionable to what is it, American Affordability Act, they have a provision in that bill that gives a 2.5% tax on the gross receipts of anyone who invents a medical device. Our inventors have helped increase the standard of living of our people, have improved the chances for survival of people's families by inventing new technologies that have enabled us to fight diseases that have taken millions of people throughout the history of the planet, taken them away in horrible agony. We have our innovators and our inventors now creating these new things. I have a personal situation in this where a loved one is suffering from cancer. And that loved one has had implanted in her a little, it's a portal, they call it. It's under the skin, and it permits this person to have chemotherapy and blood transfusions without having to go through the vessels, the blood vessels. This invention has saved this person's life, because 20 years ago, that person would probably have had, a young girl, would probably have had collapsed blood vessels or died of some type of situation where the infection from putting the needles in one's arm. This is what happened 20 years ago, and why the survival rate now of such cancer patients has gone up. I feel like hugging the person who invented that device. That person deserves our love and gratitude. This administration has seen fit to punish this person for this creativity and this innovation. This administration put a 2.5% tax not on the net, not on after all the expenses that this inventor went through to invent this, all the expenses to go into producing it, all the expenses that goes into distributing it, making sure people knew how to use this new device. No, no. This is a 2.5% tax on the gross income. It's a horrendous penalty on the person who has saved the lives of all these people. That's what this Affordability Act is all about. That's what Obamacare is all about. We have in some misguided idea that we're going to redistribute the wealth and take care of everybody through government, we are now doing things that are of great harm to the people of this country, not just to the infrastructure, the financial infrastructure of our health care, which is collapsing under the incompetence of this law that is foisted upon them with lies. No, but also we are now facing the situation where the very heart and soul of progress, of human progress, medical technology is being punished through this law. I join with my colleagues and say that this is something we should all join together, repeal, and start again and try to do a better job next time. I yield back to
I thank my colleague for his comments, and with that, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Those in question on the motion to adjourn, those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Being the chair, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Accordingly, the House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Today, the House passed a bill that would require federal judges to sanction lawyers found to have filed frivolous lawsuits.